What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. I hope you had a great trading week. I just wanted to go over a couple of trades on the dollar CAD that I had this week. 4 trades total. One's a potential swing trade, and three were day trades. One out of those actually was a losing trade. So I wanted to go over all of those. Hopefully I can get them all in this video. This was the trade entry from today. I still have partial profits open on this, or a partial position open on this after we kind of hit my targets pretty dead on. So for a little over 100 pips on those partial profits, but this one is at break even for maybe potential more downside. So we'll see. Let's get into the analysis because it's a lot to go over here. So, okay, so this is the dollar CAD daily hourly chart here. Let me jump out to, well, you know what? Let me do the trade from this morning that I entered and took profit on partially. Fib wise, so as a whole, you can see, we'll get into these confluent levels and how I got them, but you can see we double topped here and then finally broke kind of the neckline of that double top here, if you want to call it that, and kind of retested, double topped a little bit here, and then pushed down further, making kind of a new low than the initial low that broke down. So I was looking for a potential move back up somewhere and to short this morning. Confluence wise, it just kind of came into play here. Low to low fib there. I had a 78.6, and that lined up beautifully with that neckline, and you can see just kind of on the lower time frames, you can probably see this better, but we kind of wedged here and just kind of broke out of this wedge, came back up, kind of retested all that confluence there, and then just dumped right down to my targets there. You can see blew through the profit targets of those, that advanced fib, and then just kind of went straight for the more daily, it was resistance, which may be acting as support now, for maybe a pullback up, but we'll see. That's a risk-free trade as of right now. The swing trade, let's get into the swing trade position that I put on this week. Sorry, this got real cluttered here. Let me delete some of this business here. Okay, so that's good enough. Fib wise, sore thumb high to sore thumb low, you can see that 50% retracement right there at 33.75 or something, we'll just call it. More recently, kind of impulsive move, you can see that 78.6 was right there around $1.34, and then most recently in this kind of corrective structure here, if you want to call it that, we have kind of an impulse, correction, impulse, potentially another correction. If it is another correction, we could be looking at a substantial sell-off here on the dollar CAD. So that was why I went ahead and entered short this week, just because we were at a pretty nice area of confluence for potential swing trade for me. I do more swing trading than I do day trading. This week was just kind of my mom's here, so I have a little bit of extra time to sit at the charts, but still not much. It just kind of happened to be in the moment that I took a few of these day trades based off some day trading analysis. So that was the analysis for the swing trade. You can see profit target also was right up here. It's essentially sitting on that 50% retracement from that really swing high to swing low. That was tested absolutely perfect, and I missed that first entry there. So my swing trade position entry, I entered just on, once we kind of made that high and then seemed to have found a bottom, I just got in, on the retest of our initial resistance here before the spike up to the levels, and the 50% retracement of that, that seemed kind of like a nice little, this also kind of had like a little channel, potential flag thing forming here, which didn't really pan out too much, but that all played into the confluence for my swing trade short and why I entered there. That entry was at 33.20, 33.18, somewhere around there. And stop wise for that, because it is a swing trade position, I want to be able, I want to give it a little bit more wiggle room. So I had about maybe 150 pips of risk on that, I think. 65, I think, is where my stop is. I think that's why I have that there. So about 145 pips, we'll call it. Kind of bigger, I mean, for a swing trade, I guess, but like I said, we could be looking at a substantial move down if something like this is to take place. You can see the last area where we really kind of initiated that impulsive move. It got a little choppy. So it wouldn't surprise me to see another, kind of move back up before, finally pushing down. If it does, we've kind of done that already. I mean, we did double top there, so this could be the start of something big. But like I said, I'm not, we have broken out of this trend line here. So we have, this is a long-standing trend line here that, just kind of got broken out of. So I will likely take partial profits if we can kind of get back below here and then retest, some of this area here. That wouldn't be a bad place to take partial profits. Sometimes you can just get lucky and catch these huge impulsive moves. I'm not saying that this is the top. We may double top, or we may kind of come down and retest the backside of this trend line and push up, above my stop loss here. Maybe want to double top up here or something. I don't know. And maybe we are in a change in trend here for the dollar CAD. This may just be a new higher high and looking for the next higher low before our next push up to maybe some of these higher levels here. So as of right now, I'm at 1-to-1. I could potentially move to break even, but I'm going to let it wiggle a little bit more. We have kind of double topped here, so likely what I will do is kind of move to break even. Now that we're kind of breaking some structure, we double topped and broke this neckline here. It might not be a bad time to kind of start looking for a break even stop and then just letting the market do its thing. Because I didn't get such a great entry on my initial one, and I have that big stop loss, I may just let it wiggle, see if we can break back below here. I absolutely wouldn't surprise me to see maybe a pullback up to around the neckline area. I wouldn't really like it to come all the way back up, but it may. I mean, who knows? So this is a pretty substantial bullish move, so we'll have to just play it by ear. Kind of getting off topic here a little bit. Day trades. Let's get back into the day trades. So I talked about this one. So that was 100 pips. Okay, let's talk about the loser now. So once we found that top and then kind of started putting in this little squeeze thing here, we started establishing a little, a little squeeze. Essentially, we got a kind of a flat top and a squeeze here. Now, typically these things kind of break to the upside, which obviously it did, just to push right back up to those levels here. But we broke down first, and since it was coming off some major higher time frame levels, I went ahead and shorted on the break and retest of this once we kind of broke, and it wasn't really an impulsive break. I maybe should have waited a little bit longer, wait for it to kind of prove itself a little bit more, maybe get a new close, like kind of like what happened here. You can see we broke, retested, and then broke down again. So that probably would have maybe have been a more conservative approach, and then start looking for an opportunity similar to what I did here, or exactly like what I did here. But yeah, because it was a day trade, we broke and retested coming off those higher time frame levels. I went ahead and shorted. Got about 30 pips off of it initially, but still I was looking for maybe kind of these lows here, maybe down to this first profit target based off of this move here, since the 50 seemed to be holding pretty well. This was some kind of news announcement or, press conference for the Canadian dollar or something. So that's what happened there. Got stopped out of this trade. My stop for that was right about, I think maybe 30 or 40 pips, 35 pips or so, somewhere around there. Got stopped out of that, and then once we spiked back up to my levels that I had initially had, I went ahead and shorted again on the same hourly candle that stopped me out. Now, some people are like, well, is that kind of revenge trading? No. This was my optimal entry right here to begin with. So to me, once we got that initial reaction off of that, that just kind of brings further validity to those levels, because you can see how perfectly they were respected initially. So as we spiked up, double topped here, I went ahead and shorted again at, I think my fill was 33.80 or 33.79, somewhere around there. And, it just dropped beautifully after that. Consolidated a little bit back at the previous kind of, this little area here that I had, and then broke back below. And once we broke back below, I trailed, and because I felt like this was going to happen. I did take profit on that position at right around 100 pips. So essentially, once we came back down and retested this, range low here, I didn't want it to, come all the way back up. And it was just a day trade. This risk was literally maybe 20 pips. About 20 pips. Yeah. All that levels there, after the initial reaction, 20 pips I gave it. So beautiful trade. 1 to 5 return on that. So, and okay, so we talked about this one, talked about that one, talked about the loser. Okay. So that's all the trades I have for you guys. I'm about running out of time, so this is kind of week in the life of me as I trade. Luckily, I was able to get a couple of day trades in. Took a loser on it, but got some nice winners out of it so far, with some open profits still on the table. So we'll see what happens for the dollar CAD over the next weeks and months. Like I said, if this is the start of maybe another impulsive move down, we could be in for a wild ride, or we could break, retest this trend line, and then head on back up maybe towards some of these highs. So we're just gonna have to play it by ear. Bearish targets obviously would be kind of down here, you know, a long ways away. So we'll see. Take care, guys.